go.
Not really. Welcome to MGoRadio something point something.
4.5.
4.5. It can't be 0.5.
Well, we missed one.
Yeah, but that one doesn't count.
So we started at 0.
But they're the number of football games.
We played 6 games. But we didn't do one for Northwestern because I ran out of town. So
it's still a number of football games.
So we just want to go
Which
up to 6.
should make it easy for me to remember. 4.6.
You know, what we could do is just record something after this as like 4.4, like Northwestern. And then that's 4.4.
We could just say that like it's on vinyl and you have to pay $200 to get it.
You shouldn't do that because our readers would actually do that. Did you see how much they give Ace?
Yes, thank you, readers, for that. By the way, that was extremely generous of you, and will help Ace as he attempts to recover from this insidious and also insidious disease.
Yeah, and keep going. By the way, I want to get to 10K or 100K.
One final thing. We'll do a final segment, kind of looking back at the Maryland game before we move on to challenges ahead based on the oofering of the game.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to talk about our sponsors, too.
Oh, yes, let's do that. Our sponsors are Underground Printing, The Bow Store, Peak Wealth Management, Homeshare Lending, the University of Michigan Alumni Association, the Residents Inn Ann Arbor Downtown, Ann Arbor Elder Law, Human Element, Michigan Law Grad, and Lantana Hummus.
Who's in town?
Well, their CEO is in town. It's not like the avatar of the company.
No, he's pretty much the avatar of the company. He walked in with like a bag of chips and a huge bag with tons of hummus in it. So,
okay, so maybe I was wrong.
Yeah,
maybe he's just like King Hummus, where everything he touches turns to hummus.
He's Matt Gase every year. Anyway, let's talk about Maryland.
Sure. So my takeaways for the defensive UFR were like,
yeah,
there were only 50 plays I charted, and half of them were Maryland running jet sweeps, which Michigan was kind of like, we're okay giving up 6 yards on this jet sweep. And it was 15 either zone stretches or inside zones where they tried to single up Michigan's DTs, and it didn't work. So what conclusions can you draw from that? That
they know Winovich is good. That was... I watched the game like 1.5 times trying to find something to neck Sharpies, and finally they're just running the hell away from Chase Winovich, and everyone knows it.
Right. I mean, I did have like some low sample size takes on various young front seven players.
Okay.
So, Mike Dwumfor had an impressive rush. He also got blown out pretty badly on it when he got doubled. That was on the play that he left the game on, so that might have been...
Yeah.
I might have given him a pass for that one, but I didn't. You saw Carlo Kemp kind of get back to his moderately impactful ways that he had pretty much the whole season except Notre Dame prior to last week. So he was able to, push his guy a yard or two in the backfield and then disconnect the tackle when the back pass is not, amazing stuff. But when you're able to do that consistently, that really frees up the rest of the defense to go be more active. So I think that's what Wisconsin's going to try. I think they're going to try to single up Monet. They're going to try to single up Kemp with their very good offensive lineman so they can get to Devin Bush. And that was one of the reasons that Devin Bush was pretty quiet all day.
Yeah.
Because most plays weren't getting to him, and he was getting a free-releasing blocker every time. So that'll happen when people are overplaying you, but Bush was still able to make an impact just through his presence.
Yeah, I mean... Maryland was always going to be a specific tenant. I mean, they're not up to the level of like an Air Force kind of thing, but they run their offense. And other than like getting your jet motion right, which is good practice for Wisconsin and a couple other teams that we play, there's not a ton to take away from this game. I thought the only other thing I noted was that like they have 5 guards as their offensive linemen. Yeah. So the guard play was Michigan did well against that. Monet stood up pretty well. And when I went and rewatched, I know we're moving on to Wisconsin again, but I watched Wisconsin last year, which is probably a better baseline than watching Wisconsin this year against us. Watched Wisconsin last year against us, and like that was really how Michigan was holding them back, was the defensive tackle play. And seeing Monet being able to handle those guys, he handled doubles the whole time, was fine. I was a little... I was hoping that Jeter would kind of be further along at this point.
I mean, the only play that I clipped, like, I didn't only play a clip from Jeter is him getting absolutely blown up by a double team.
Right.
Which I only do for season preview purposes. It's not to point the finger, but I figure you got to, like, if there's a notable play from a young player.
True, but they've only got 2 defensive tackles over 300 pounds on the roster, and one of them is Jeter.
Well, I mean, I think you don't have to be 300 pounds to play.
No, but
tackle these days.
it's nice to have. It's nice when you're going up against Wisconsin, who's really just they're going to physically push you off the ball to at least give them more of a have a couple more guys like that who are just going to jam that up.
Back to some new faces on the defensive line. Kwity Paye gets the start. He has a couple of good plays. Doesn't look out of place. Didn't look like a dynamic pass rusher, but again, like, they just gave you so few chances to, like, even show that. So he's quiet in the pass rush. Winovich is quiet in the pass rush just because they're running the ball, they're rolling out, and they're doing quick throws, and they just didn't want to get away from that in any way whatsoever, even when it was pretty clear that wasn't going to work. Aiden Hutchinson came back from a game where he only had 1 snap against Northwestern for whatever reasons, and had a couple of really nice plays when Maryland was backed up near their own goal line. So Winovich has been using that Ryan Glasgow trademark push-pull rip, and Winovich has been doing that to tackles all year, which is impressive because he's a defensive end, not a defensive tackle. And Hutchinson did it to the Maryland left tackle near the goal line, which is even more impressive because he's a freshman defensive end and not Chase Winovich. So he's, every time he gets in the game, like for 10 or 12 plays, he makes a play that makes me think that he's going to be good and good as early as next year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, having him out there as a true freshman has really kind of. I mean, we haven't been able to see Villain in a couple of years. So if that doesn't pan out, it's really nice to have Hutchinson kind of as the next guy because Winovich is gone next year. Gary's probably gone next year. Quiddy's going to be great, I think, too. But now you have 2 guys that we can look at for next year and say, Michigan's got some ends again.
And James Hudson had a couple of impact rushes where he beat blocks on blitzes and made plays.
Hudson?
Khaleke Hudson?
Oh, Khaleke Hudson. You said James Hudson.
Did I say James Hudson?
Yeah. We didn't get to see him in this one.
Anyway, so, Hudson had a couple of moments where it's like, all right, that was what Hudson did all last year, and I liked it. So hopefully he'll be able to find more of that going forward and less targeting.
Yeah, I thought Brown did an interesting thing with him. Took me back to the Minnesota game last year where when they motioned too many guys away from him, he just converted to a blitzer. So I think he was sitting back and then he just knew if there was nobody on his side, now he's just blitzing. And they got 1 sack out of that when they ran a cool trap to stop the slant. And
so what looked like a legitimate RPO slant. I can't remember if it was actual an RPO, but it looked like one of those play-action slants that Michigan has kind of struggled to defend over the past couple of years, and Tyree Cannell activated himself from the backside of that play and erased that slant. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, and they ran that once against Northwestern, too, and it's nice to just have that in the playbook to kind of scare away the slants.
Dissuade that
right.
stuff, yeah. That's a good idea. But that's really all I have to say about the defense, which I think I spun quite a bit out of it. Yeah. The other side of the ball was a little bit more interesting because if you go back and you look at this drive chart, it's 4 touchdowns, it's four more drives of like 40 to 50 yards, and then a 2-play interception where, that throw is so defensible. I'm not mad about that throw at all. It got deflected. The Maryland guy made a play, but it's
you put it in the Gentry zone. Gentry gets his hands on it and then just deflects off his hands.
Right, and for the deflection to actually turn it into an interception is bad luck. So, I thought he escaped Patterson escaped the rush on that play, and he made a throw that I want him to make. So that's the only unsuccessful drive in terms of we got 40 yards. And if you go and you look at the fancy stats, Maryland had by far their worst defensive performance of the year against Michigan, and they've played Texas. So even though it started off pretty wobbly, it feels like once you go back and you look at the tape, you're like, okay, this is getting somewhere.
I mean, the most encouraging thing is they have 2 defensive ends who are legit. One guy had 14 TFLs a couple of years ago, and the other guy was the number 3 overall recruit.
He was good.
And he was good. And he looked good he looked good when I scouted them, too. And I wouldn't say Michigan shut them down, but it was Michigan didn't have to chip them with the tight ends. They just let the tackles do their thing, and between the running plays and wearing them down, there was no sacks. There were only a couple times when someone got through, and it wasn't on those guys. It was just Maryland planned a good blitz, and Patterson made that guy miss anyway.
Yeah, I was looking up stats when I was writing the Wisconsin preview today, and would you care to guess Michigan's adjusted sack rate? As a ranking out of 100.
Just this year, ranking
ranking out of 130 teams.
30s, 36.
They are 29th.
I was guessing higher.
I know, because why else would I bring it up, right?
You were like, oh no, they're still 75th, Seth. But nice of you to think that.
You bring it up because it's like, wow.
Right.
And you still undershot by
but
about 10 spots.
They're almost top 25 in pass protection.
Yes. Now, I mean,
it wasn't like that after the Notre Dame game.
That's just a sacks. So there's hurries and stuff like that, and Patterson has a role, obviously.
Yeah.
From what we saw, but like just to be in the top quartile of the country is astounding. All praise to Ed Warner. The other thing that kind of like leapt out to me from this game is that Michigan got like a performance from Shea Patterson that I think beats a lot of teams in this country. So, I mean, you have that 40-yard throw that doesn't get on the scoreboard because of the holding call, and he still averages 10.5 yards an attempt. And, there wasn't a whole lot of catch and run in this game. Yeah. You had the opportunity to get some catch and run on the Gentry screen, but he decided no. And he's throwing it downfield. Pro Football Focus put out a stat this week about Big Ten quarterbacks on 20-plus yard throws. And Patterson leads the conference he's got an adjusted completion percentage of 60%. So on throws longer than 20 yards, 6 out of 10 times, the ball is good enough to be caught.
So there was one that live in the stadium, I thought that he had underthrown. I was worried for a moment, like, does Shea not have the arm? And then on rewatch, I think he threw a fly route, and the receiver was supposed to,
Or the one to Collins?
To Collins, yeah.
So the problem with the one to Collins is that he had too much time in the pocket. So he's just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and it's like, now I'm going to throw the ball. And that ball is in the air for 60 yards.
Right.
So it's short, but not because Shea Patterson can't throw it a long way. It's because he waited too long.
After 15 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, well, you're right. If
you know what that was?
Route, what?
That was Mills. So if you don't know what Mills is, it's a play that Steve Spurrier made famous, and it's basically a post behind a dig.
Okay.
So the deep safety has to make a decision whether he's going to come up and contest the dig or if he's going to hang back for the post. And if they come up on the dig, then you have a touchdown.
Right.
And they came up on the dig, and Patterson held the ball for 3-4 seconds, and then they didn't have a touchdown. So it's something that was actually one of his less good throws of the day, and it's still like a 50-yard completion.
Right. Yeah, you can go with this guy. I mean, the ability to dodge a unblocked blitzer just gives. I mean, that is an element to the defense that kind of fixes a lot of problems because they got everyone else blocked, and if that happens 2 times, and Maryland was planning that, I kind of thought that they were setting those blitzes up by bringing that guy and back him out, bringing that guy back him out for 4 plays before it, and then they finally brought him. And to be able to make that right, to be able to, Maryland didn't get the payoff for all that work they put in, and that's the kind of guy. Just the other team is so frustrated after facing a guy like that.
Yeah, it's if he can erase one blitzer who gets through scot-free and Michigan can block them all up, then you've got something. And the Tate Forcier comparison I felt came through on those rushes because he was able to escape the pocket, avoid the rush, and then find someone downfield. He wasn't automatically converting that to run mode because Shea Patterson doesn't really want to run the ball.
Yeah. Any special teams takeaways from that other than that?
I mean, no, not really.
I thought that, by the way, was just Singleton getting out of his lane. He went and hit a guy instead of staying in his lane.
I honestly don't even look at the special teams plays. I have too much other stuff.
Okay. It was like Maryland's one play. It was like the one Maryland thing that happened.
Right, and I was like
yeah. Okay.
I mean, I do think it's interesting that, the right side of the offensive line I have grading out extremely well in the run game. So Ruiz, Onwenu, and
they were
Bushel Beatty.
mashing those guys off. In this game specifically, they were mashing those guys.
And Michigan is still running to the left way more than they are running to the right, which is strange. Like, Runyon is okay. But especially in this game, because Runyon is matched up with Byron Cowart, who's the former 5-star, who won his matchup with Runyon, I'd say, pretty decisively.
Okay.
And so you're still running to that guy who's probably opposite Maryland's best run defender.
Right.
And the backside guys are just hammering it, and I'm just like, this is a little weird.
Yeah.
Because that's what they've been doing all year. Like, all the stuff against Maryland was off the left side. Like, what's the deal?
That means you're pulling Onwenu instead of Bredesen if you're running power too, and they don't run much power even.
They ran it twice in this game, and one of it didn't really work that well either time.
Which is exactly how many stretches they ran too.
Well, and there's just a little. I don't know why. I mean, obviously the results are okay, but if I was calling this game, I would have a right-handed running game. That's what I would have.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, at least the run game's working right now. I don't know if they're trying to establish tendency or something, but I can't really.
It's strange.
Yeah.
I mean, they managed to run a bunch more down G fairly successfully, which is interesting because I was under the impression that if they kept doing that, it wasn't a play that could really be a base play, because if the linebackers get to it and they know it's coming, they're up one.
Right. And they had a few tricks to play with keys against it.
Right.
But
so they've been mixing stuff in, trying to keep it fresh. But the play that they run the most is probably down G, which is
we're a down G based.
I've never seen a football team do that.
Right. I mean, you could erase the guy if you do send the fullback through there, but they were doing other things with the fullback or just not using one. Yeah. I mean, you could run it as a base play if you have a lead blocker there, but it turns into an ISO like that if you do that. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds, and I don't think there's much more to take away from Maryland.
Come on, we can think of one more thing.
One more thing to
So I thought a couple of Patterson passes that looked off were kind of like miscommunications.
Okay.
So Perry comes back off a hitch, and he's standing in a place, and Patterson throws it right to him, and Perry has taken another step away.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Perry takes a step kind of away from a linebacker.
Right.
Yeah, that's Perry settling into a zone and then thinking that the quarterback's going to throw it into the middle of the zone, and I think he just threw it at the receiver.
Right, so that's more of a communication issue than an inaccuracy issue. And then the fake bubble screen that turned into a shot to Peoples-Jones down the field was similar. Like, he started drifting inside and running a post, and Patterson threw it like he was going to go straight up the field. So those things are things that you can work on and get done in a way that, like, just missing someone over the top by 5 yards is not. And has that happened this year? Has Shea Patterson missed someone deep by a lot?
No. Nope.
I honestly, I feel like there's got to be one thing that I'm forgetting.
Nope. I mean, he's shorted a couple before where he could have just thrown it over the top, but
right.
There's nothing there's nothing that's been uncatchable when he's got a guy deep,
which is crazy.
It's normal if you haven't been watching Michigan football the last 5 years.
No, it is not normal. Everybody misses deep. I mean, if you watch anything, it's a deep pass even from a good quarterback is usually a 50-50 proposition whether it's even catchable. And for Michigan, it feels like a much better proposition.
All right, don't jinx us.
You were one to talk. All of these teams are stupid, and I hate them, and especially their tight ends.
And was I not correct about that tight end?
How do you feel about Wisconsin's tight end?
Which one? The offensive lineman or the other offensive lineman? I think Harbaugh looks at them and says, geez, can you guys just go a little lighter? Like, throw a receiver out there once in a while. 7 offensive linemen out there at the same time? Yeah.
That's a different segment, one that we should get to.
Well, I think we're going to do the sponsor next.
At some point during this podcast.
Yeah.
But that'll be after.
He's in the store.
This.
Okay.
Break.
Things to keep in your mind while you're out there. When we take the field, we're going to win. We've got big goals. We've got big ideas. We've got to win this game, and there is no game on the remainder of our schedule more important than the one you're going down to the tunnel to play today. Now let's go. Let's go.
Underground Printing is proud to present The Bow Store. Visit us at our new location at 333 South Main or online at www.bow.team.
It's painless, it's online. It's group ordering made easy for your next custom printed apparel order. Pogo from Underground Printing takes the aggravation out of custom printing for a group. Whether you're selling shirts for a fundraiser, organizing a large event, or trying to collect sizes and payment for a family reunion, Underground Printing is here to help. Save time and hassle every step of the way with our easy-to-use site. No more guessing what to order, chasing people down to pay, or wasting time trying to sort out who needs what. We'll set it up and you can just sit back and relax. We can even take care of individual shipping. To learn more about Pogo, visit us at any of our convenient locations or at pogo.undergroundshirts.com.
Hey, this is Seth from MGoBlog. Like many of you by now, when it was time to refinance my house, I talked to Matt Demarest in Homeshire Lending. Since we had bought only a few years earlier, it was amazing how different the experience was between Matt and our bank. He knows his stuff, gives you and your loan his personal attention, and can shop at the different lenders so you're always a priority. We are constantly getting similar feedback from readers who used Homeshire Lending when buying or refinancing a house in Michigan. He knows the mortgage industry well, which becomes a big deal when your loan is as complicated as mine was. If you haven't met him yet, he's tailgating this year with his HemGo bus at the Charity Beer Garden on 327 Hoover. And if you're buying or refinancing, reach out to Homeshire Lending, NMLS number 1161358.
If you need a place to stay in Ann Arbor and don't want to be stuck out by I-94, there's a new hotel downtown, and the owners, who should be well known to the Michigan community, have asked our help to get the word out. The Martin family, yes, that Martin family, recently opened the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown, just a block from Main Street and a short walk to Michigan Stadium. They're competitively priced and offer a free hot breakfast, free Wi-Fi, fully equipped kitchen in every suite, and an indoor pool. That's the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown.
I grew up in a small town of Hazlitt, Michigan, and I witnessed a lot of great people making a lot of poor financial decisions. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to have my retirement at risk. Over the last 17 years, my team has developed and refined our process, which helps people understand what's important to them and what they value most. And because people don't have pensions anymore, we're adding in multiple income streams during retirement. At Peak Wealth Management, our goal is to build long-lasting relationships, and we do that by building trust, by showing our integrity, and letting them know how much we care. And that's one of the most important things we do here at Peak, is understand your goals and help you get there.
Welcome back to MGoRadio 4.6, live from the Bow Store on Main Street. We have our gimmicky top five, and probably a man here who has wanted to strangle me for as long as he's known me. Matt Gase, the CEO of Lantana Hummus, who has sponsored our podcast despite the fact that we have turned his hummus into a kitten-free zone, probably very much against the wishes of your marketing team.
Against our wishes, but hey, we're still sponsoring, right?
Yeah, so what's that like when you sponsor MGoBlog and they just come up with something and won't ever let go of it and just keep hitting it into the ground?
Yeah, we're not that classic traditional hummus, so we're pretty easygoing about that. We have people say, "Well, you're making hummus with carrots and not chickpea," and now we get to say without kittens too.
Unlike, it should be made clear, all other hummuses on the market. Can they sue us for this?
I think we can just suggest.
I'm not saying a word.
Right.
Right. You're right.
I think they can just we never actually say that they have hummus. We just say that there are kittens in their hummus. We just
I have explicitly stated that all hummus on the market except Lantana. I just did that.
They have kittens.
Yes.
I just know that they don't deny.
So if some other hummus company were to be like, that's not true.
Definitely.
I can just say for certain we don't use kittens.
Exactly.
In our hummus.
Unlike all other.
Fortunately, half our readership is lawyers, so if they actually
that's a good point.
I might need some help here, lawyers.
We're all right. So, our gimmicky top 5 is our favorite cats, which are not in Lantana. Oh man,
and never have been.
Never have been. Seth, you're number 5.
My number 5 is Rufus the Bobcat.
I don't know who that is.
Well, you see, there's a lot of college football teams that have cat mascots.
Oh, yeah.
But there's only one college team with a cat mascot who's ever sucker punched Rudolph Buckeye.
Oh, it's the Ohio mascot.
That's right.
That's a good one.
Rufus the Bobcat.
How is that your number 5?
I got some good ones.
Okay.
When we don't come up with this 3 minutes before the segment,
okay,
I actually think about it and have some ideas.
All right.
Yeah.
Matt, you're number 5.
Number 5 is Cat in the Hat.
And that's actually my number 5 too.
Well, there you go. My daughter here is class of 2016, Michigander. I put her in a little cheerleader outfit when she was about 5 years old. Didn't know it cost me a small fortune to send her to Michigan out of state, but I read her that many a time. So Cat in the Hat it is.
Well, I mean, I have a 2-year-old right now, and
don't put her in a cheerleader outfit unless you stay in state.
I wasn't going to put my son in a cheerleader outfit. I'm a little, maybe later, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've lost my train of thought.
Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat.
Yes.
So when you have a small child and you read them books, you begin to appreciate how Dr. Seuss is a very good and important author, and then he brings you like books about trucks written from the 70s, and you nod, but you're dying inside because you have to read this thing again with its wooden prose about like, grapple skidders. So the Cat in the Hat is a much needed break. But he refuses. Like I get the Dr. Seuss off the shelf, and he's like, "No, Daddy, you have to put that away."
So we have an old Cat in the Hat video, or old Cat in the Hat movie, but it was like from when we were kids, and we have it on DVD. And it is the best for putting the kids to sleep.
I tried to watch. There was like Cat in the Hat on Netflix, so I was like, "Oh, maybe he'll watch this."
Yeah, that's the new show.
Right, but like, Martin Short is the Cat in the Hat, and I'm like, that is not how he sounds at all. And
no,
I refuse.
No, he's just obnoxious. The original Cat in the Hat from like the '80s Cat in the Hat cartoon is what we got.
The fish is French.
Yeah, and when they put the fish to sleep, the kids there's no way they can stay awake. So we'll turn that on, and 5 minutes later, you got 2 sleeping, beautiful children, and it's
that cat should not be here.
Cat in the Hat.
That's the fish.
Yeah.
Seth, you're number 4.
Toonces the Driving Cat.
From Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, you remember that guy?
No.
There's a segment of a cat who could drive, but like the whole thing was he could drive, but just not very well. And
okay, that's. Seems accurate, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that was the joke, and I think of it kind of often whenever like they stick a football player in a position that he should not be in. Like, oh yeah, he can quarterback, just not very well.
I see.
And it's just
so every time you see Minnesota throw a ball, you're like, oh, it's Toonces the quarterback.
Exactly,
right.
Exactly. Toonces the football team.
Matt, you're number 4.
Catwoman, the Halle Berry version.
Ooh,
this is a family podcast, sir. So, just if you would like to elaborate, do so carefully.
Well, since my wife is here, I'm going to be extra special. No, she's just a superhero, right? Heroine, I should say.
That's true.
You know, cat.
There's like a sexy
you asked
basketball
for
scene.
My favorite 5 cats, and Catwoman's got to be one of them.
Seth's going to be mad about me. Mad about this one.
Yeah.
Because you just like bombed all 1980s.
Oh, you're going to do like a Thundercat?
Thundercats. They were awesome.
Do you have a specific Thundercat?
No.
Like, are you a Lino fan?
No, because if you have a specific Thundercat, then you're kind of moving into like the I actually have an outfit area.
Oh, okay.
You can't like there's a limit to.
I remember I think 3 characters out of like the 4 or 5 that they had on that show. I remember the names, and I think one of them was just supposed to be like a token black guy, and that's like what he was in that show.
I don't remember that at all.
That's my recollection from the '80s. That I'm like, oh, I guess that's what they're doing with that character.
I just thought they had cool hair, and now we're going to move on very quickly. Seth, you're number 3.
It's Michelle Pfeiffer.
Are you serious?
That was a very important moment in my life.
This happened last week when our guest was talking about Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, that's too much Lord of the Rings for one podcast. And you were like, oh, Lord of the Rings.
I mean, I wrote this before.
Oh, it was Star Wars. It was
Star Wars.
So you're not conspiring with the advertiser to get all the Catwoman related.
No, of course not, because I totally disagree with him. It's Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh. Don't disagree with the advertiser.
Pulling sponsorship.
I'll get it back in a sec.
He did redeem himself last week. We'll see if that continues.
Yeah.
Matt, you're number 3.
Cheshire.
Oh, Cheshire Cat, yeah.
Yeah, from Alice in Wonderland.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, sort of a mad world.
Yeah.
Of all the mad characters, that'd be the one I'd want to chat with.
His in the book, he's got like a lot more.
There's a book
about.
You really bought that. You're like, what?
Dude, I bought that like 2000. Desmond Howard's in town right now, so I get to tell the story. 1991 is when I became like a super crazy Michigan fan, because I came up here and I spent a weekend with my cousin. And after the game, like, you remember how they sell books on the street and they outside the Dawn Treader, I think it was. I picked up an old copy of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and then like the rest of the weekend I was hanging out in his like apartment building in Ann Arbor, and reading that book. So
Were you like 10?
Yeah, I was 10, 11 years old. Yeah, I was 11.
11.
Yeah, but like that weekend was like the best. I had like the best pancakes. I had like we went to the Brown Jug and I had a hot cider, and we watched Desmond Howard absolutely dismantle Indiana, and like it was. And then I hung out with his with his roommates who were lesbians, and I'd never seen that before. And that was kind of my introduction to Ann Arbor. And I was like, I want to go here. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to make sure I go to Michigan. That was my recruiting weekend.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
They're still friends.
My
like,
number
nice
2
women.
is the lynx.
Oh.
Which, when it walks on snow, leaves no footprints.
Yeah.
I used to get zoo books as a child, if you are surprised by that. And so I have many little facts about various animals, and one of them is the lynx.
Which doesn't leave any tracks.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right.
Seth, you're number 2.
Stubbs.
Stubbs?
The mayor of Talkeetna.
What are you talking about?
No, you don't remember this?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Talkeetna, Alaska had a mayoral election in 2016. Didn't like any of the candidates. Now remember the candidates
How
that
am I
we
supposed
had
to remember the
because it was like in the news at the same time as like everything else going on. It's just 2 years ago.
So you want me to remember a story about a mayoral election
where they elected a cat
in Alaska in 2016?
Yes.
This wasn't exactly Obama getting reelected, where it's like, oh, that's a foreground conclusion.
No, this was like, we don't like this candidate. We don't like that candidate.
There was some news.
I know. There were. I was there.
All right.
I'm
going to calm down.
Stubbs, the mayor of Talkeetna, Alaska. He was the mayor. Probably still is. I don't know. Like if they. I don't know if he's had any scandals or anything since then.
I don't think you can actually. I mean.
I think they just like left.
They
the office.
wrote him in or something.
They did, but he won.
Okay, but that doesn't mean a cat gets to be the mayor.
Yes, it does. That's how democracy works, Brian.
Matt, you're number 2.
The Detroit Tigers. Tigers. I'm going to show my age, but I remember as a little kid, they rolled in black and white TVs for the 68 Tigers.
Okay.
And been a Tiger fan my entire life. Fast forward, 1986, Fiesta Bowl, Schembechler, Bo beat the Cornhuskers. My brother and I walk across the street. We walk into a bar. There's Dick McAuliffe on one side, big picture, freehand on the other. My hero was always Jim Northrup, and I think it was Jim Northrup's daughter's bar. And I'm like, I've just died and gone to heaven meeting Jim Northrup's daughter.
They had the tiger back then too. Do you remember the logo back then? It was like there was like I think like modern fans call it like the cocaine tiger. It's like a tiger that was just like it looks like he's blitzed out.
Oh, for sure.
And someone hands him a baseball bat.
Yeah, no, I remember that well.
Speaking of, my number 2 is 8-Ball the Tiger.
Okay.
Who is Clemson's mascot, and for all the world looks like he is on a raging cocaine bender with like these giant glowing green eyes.
Yep.
There's like a parody account that I follow on Twitter, and it's actually fairly good because, one, it's all in caps all the time, and 2, every tweet starts with "Hey, hey!" It's like there's a certain genre of like college football mascot that is so bad it's amazing and iconic.
Yeah.
Like every Purdue Pete.
Yep.
Everything from like 1950 and before.
Right.
And then
anytime the students had to make the costume themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was a Western Michigan Bronco that was obviously just high.
Right.
That was a good one. And then, but 8-Ball is like they didn't take it away. Like when Western came here, they had revamped the horse, so it didn't look. It looked like
they sobered the horse up.
Yeah, they sobered the horse up.
We still use the photo as like
Right.
I think a bunch of times that week.
But nobody has sobered 8-Ball the Tiger up, and I respect Clemson for that decision.
Yeah, the only old mascot that they really just should get rid of is the Stanford tree. Because that thing is like nightmare fuel.
Well, that's the band actually like makes it every year.
Right, and it's like creepier every year.
Yeah, there was one that was a palm tree,
Uh-huh.
and then the mouth was strategically located.
Right.
And it had a large tongue. And I'm just like, Stanford band, come on. That's what they do.
Yeah, I mean the age of the internet should be so great for the Stanford band, but they just they're either too far behind or too far ahead.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, Seth, your number 1.
My number 1, number 2 probably was going to give this one away. Well, no, it's Rhubarb.
What are you talking about?
Rhubarb is a 1951 film. I have to shout out Samara Pearlstein, by the way, who I know listens to this thing, because she put it on her Roar of the Tigers blog in like a couple of
the Roar of the Tigers girl. Yeah,
yeah,
she's great.
Yeah. So she wrote a whole blog about Rhubarb, which is a 1951 film about a cat who runs a baseball team. And a couple points that I pulled from this thing. He's played by Orangey, who's the same exact cat as Cat in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Leonard Nimoy is on the baseball team.
Okay.
Okay.
You have like a whole outline for this one.
I do. The name Rhubarb is an old sports term for like having a beef with someone.
Yeah, rhubarb with
like
somebody?
a capital beef. Yeah, a capital B beef is a rhubarb.
I got a rhubarb with Chris Ballas.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
We should bring that one back. It's a good sport. All right. And then the plot's great. The St. Louis tries to bring a dog because Rhubarb's making them win. So like now they have to one up them.
Oh, so they chase it with a dog.
But Rhubarb actually
Is
beats
this a
the dog.
children's film?
No, it's like a 1951 serious adult film. Someone got this made.
But not for children.
No, I think the overarching story is they're mad the Brooklyn Dodgers are moving. So like it was a story about the protagonist is the caretaker of the cat who's like using the cat.
We have to get through your bullets.
Yeah, okay.
Before the podcast ends.
The cat has his own pedestal with a blanket, milk, and a litter box. If you pet him, you have good luck. The cat is kidnapped by mobsters.
Okay, that makes sense.
The team manufactures a rain out using dry ice in a plane at one point.
That's you can't do that. That doesn't work because the dry ice just turns into carbon
dioxide. And the most adorable thing is Rhubarb also has a love interest in this movie. There's Rhubarb's girlfriend wears a bow. She has eyeliner. It's a cat wearing a bow.
Okay, that's a good clarification to have.
It's a wonderful little movie. We should all rent it. We should all pressure Netflix to put Rhubarb on there. He's the greatest cat of all time.
Matt, your number 1, please.
Not nearly as.
You don't have a whole document.
I'm bringing this on home. I've got 2 cats at home, Loki and Sydney, and I married a cat, Katina, K-A-T.
Well, now you have to choose one of them.
Oh.
I would go with the wife.
I think I will.
All right.
Thanks for that recommendation, Brian.
Good one.
I'm telling your cats.
You probably think you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 1 is the poor put-upon cat that always growls for first downs all across the country.
Oh, that poor cat.
Because it's the same thing. It's at Penn State. It's at Northwestern.
Oh,
It's at every high school.
No, Northwestern, he's not there anymore.
He's not.
No, now the announcer goes, another first down for Northwestern. And it's more annoying if that's believable than the cat.
Because I used to like it that every team that was the Wildcats, for some reason, had the exact same sound clip.
Right.
It was identical at Penn State and Northwestern.
The Tigers had the same exact one too.
That's right.
Yeah.
It made me feel very superior to all those teams because when we have a mascot, it's Murder Wolf.
Right.
Not just the same Wildcat sound that everybody else has.
Right. And Murder Wolf doesn't make a sound. He's just
no, he does not.
He's just there.
All right. How's Lantana Hummus going?
Really good, thanks.
I'm glad.
Really good. We're We've had a lot of success growing our distribution, a lot of loyal consumers, and love connecting with your listeners here. It's fun to see comments after, let's say, Joe Pesci's delicious looking recipe. So our business is going really well. We're
about how big of a company?
Let me size it this way. We've got a big monster of a leader in terms of Sabra, which is
I just meant like your
so they're like big share. We're the number 2 brand.
Okay.
But we're like 5 share.
Right.
Wow. You're right. So we're the biggest of the small guys. Maybe is the best way to put it.
I mean, you got there. When did you start this company?
Well, the company was started by 3 guys who back in 2011, and they said, why does hummus have to be made just with chickpea and tahini? And they sort of maybe blasphemed in a way from the traditional way of doing it. But why not a black bean? Why not edamame? Why not dial some fruit in?
So these are the guys who sit in the basement and come up with the stuff that you guys come up with.
They did, and then they sold the company, or they're still owners, but they brought in investors, and I started about 3 years ago. And we've been on a really good run, lots of new flavors. And matter of fact, I brought one here that's from the Test Kitchen.
The Test Kitchen.
Test Kitchen doesn't even have a label on it. It does have a little label saying essentially
refrigerated.
Yes, right. By the way, I have a bunch of hummus here for you guys to bring to the tailgate tomorrow.
Right, yeah.
And I thought I'd let you guys try something that very few people have had.
This is an exciting. Yeah. Also, it was a very visual podcast moment here, where he's getting out.
We have visual. We have visual on this podcast.
Oh God!
I had to put this in my suitcase with some ice packs, so it's not looking very pretty here.
That's fine.
But you get
it's a podcast. If we didn't have that video, that nobody would have to know that it doesn't look as good as. Do we get a preview here?
Yeah, you do. So our last flavors have been cauliflower and hatch, and we've launched a range of fruit hummus. This one people are going to get.
Let me give that a shot.
Yeah, thank you very much. There you go. This is buffalo, straight up buffalo.
Buffalo hummus.
As in buffalo chicken wing, but there's no
buffalo in it.
There's buffalo
or cats
or cats or chicken.
You want me to? I want to mute myself while I chew.
That's interesting. Got a little kick at the end there. That's good. Tell them that's a winner. We're gonna put on top. You always have something on top.
Well, we're not.
Nothing on top.
Nothing on top.
Got some celery in there, man.
Well, we can have people dip their celery in that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
This is good stuff. Yeah, and this is already shooting up my list. I love this one.
Do you have an ordered list? You do now.
I do. I have to think about it once I get past the first couple first 2 or 3.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
man.
we'll do. Thanks for
good luck with the hummus, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys have fun.
Pleasure.
Matt Gase of Lantana Hummus, everybody. We're going to take a break, come back, and talk about, Wisconsin, I guess?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Wisconsin.
We have a lot in common. You rode the bus to Bursley, so did Larry Page, and so did I. And we all love MGoBlog. I'm Nick Hopwood, your MGo financial coach. My entire family went to Michigan State, but I was the smart one, finding my way to Ann Arbor to study econ. I've been a financial planner for 17 years, earning the designation Certified Financial Planner, and founded Peak Wealth Management in Plymouth. Oh, you're pretty smart, and you probably have a sweet retirement spreadsheet already. My job is to make sure. As a financial coach, I make sure you're on track, or if you're not on track, I tell you exactly what you're going to need to do. And if you listen, I'll be able to tell you how your future should look, just like the knowledge. And I have cool charts and graphs to tell the story, sort of like the mathlete. To learn more or schedule time to chat, check out peakwm.com/mgoblog.
It can be a rough ride along the information superhighway. That's why we build our e-commerce websites tough enough to handle the load. With the capacity to take hundreds of simultaneous online transactions and the stability of load-balanced, co-located server architectures, a website from Human Element performs in the roughest conditions. Thousands of products? No problem. We'll throw in the tools to manage them with precision and efficiency. All with a design slick enough to make you think your girlfriend might be impressed. So load it up and hit the gas and let Human Element show you the way. Special offers available for returning licensees. Financing available with approved credit to qualified buyers. Client participation may affect savings. Optional equipment available at additional cost. See human-element.com for details.
Let me just tell you a couple things to keep in your mind while you're out there. When we take the field, we're going to win. We've got big goals. We've got big ideas. We've got to win this game, and there is no game on the remainder of our schedule more important than the one you're going down to the tunnel to play today. Now let's go! Let's go!
Underground Printing is proud to present the Bow Store. Visit us at our new location at 333 South